This guy loves being in front of a camera. Whether it's woodworking, vlogging his day, or making odd movie-like clips, Matt is just having a good time. And he especially loves talking about error Pokemon cards. So let's get started!
What's going on, you guys? My name is Matt, and I thought it would be fun to tell you 3 things about me. 1, my name is Matt. 2, I talk about error Pokemon cards every week. And 3, I really like it when people like the video. Seems like it's a good esteem boost and gives me that fire that I need to keep going. So let's get started. And we're gonna start by playing that music. So here we have a de-evolution spray, and this is off center. Sold for $20 and it's got that fat bottom. That's why that music's playing. Let's take a look. Alignment dot. Thick border on the bottom, skinny on the top, and the back is consistent, but we don't see an alignment dot. And this error added around $15 of value to this card. Next up, we have a base set Clefairy with the black dot error. This is a repeating error, and this got graded a PSA 6 and got recognized as an error as well by PSA, which is always cool to see. And it's nice to see some culture here too. This sold for $369.99. Yes, we love culture here. And shocking. Average non-error price is $19.50. That really, you don't see really any significant money until like grade 8 or 9 for this. But let's take a look at this error right here. So an ink dot, ink blot, whatever you want to say, is covering the N and the O in now. A cool repeating error. One of 2 repeating errors for Clefairy. Actually, you have the black dot and you have the red heart, which would be located right around here. Around $350 of value added to this card because of that little black dot there. That's pretty cool. And would you believe me if I told you this is in the top 10? Because it is. With 1,797%, this is good enough for number 10 this week on our list of error value increases. Next up, we have a Squirtle from base set 2, and this is a crimp error. Now, if you are unfamiliar with what a crimp error is, I actually have a base set 2 empty pack here. So what happens is the pack actually gets misaligned before it gets crimped, and so the crimping machine actually crimps down onto a card instead of just on the top here. And you can see this pattern is consistent with what's on Squirtle there. A cool error that occurs that kind of shows the behind the scenes of what really happens with Pokemon cards when they're manufactured. And you can see it adds quite a bit of value actually. We have $34 of value added because of that crimping machine. And let's take a look at this card here. Good, consistent crimp across the top. Maybe a little bit trending upward here. And on the back too. So it is a strong crimp, as we like to say in the industry here. So yeah, cool card, and sold for $50 Canadian or around $35 US. And with an average non-error price of $1.87, that makes the error value increase $1,799, which is good enough for number 9 this week. So we're going in order. I don't think that's how it's going to be the whole time, but let's see. I really don't know. I'm learning as you do. Next up, we have a Mewtwo, and this is a promo card that I honestly have never seen before. Really cool, and this is a miscut error. Sold for $42 in auction. Now let's take a look here. Oh, I love it. We can click into it here. So a good portion of another Mewtwo card on the top. Now this is fun because since it's the same card printed on the sheet, whatever's missing on the bottom here will show on the top here. So like the good example is the star here. We're missing the bottom 2 points. Boom, right there. That's so cool. We have the alignment dot in the top left and maybe an alignment dot in the top right there. Hard to say. Clearly the card isn't in the best condition, but despite that, sold for $42. Just a neat card in general. Again, had never seen this one before. And yeah, added around $38 of value to this card. EVI of 1000%. Next up, we have a base set Wartortle with the evolution box error. Listed for 100, sold for 77. Now let's take a look here. So what the error is here is there is a little Wartortle in stage 1 where that should be Squirtle. And it's a very cool, very iconic repeating error. And if I am being 100% honest, I am shocked this card sold for as much as it did. I'd say average for just a regular one, you know, nothing that's like in extremely good condition, is probably $50 to $80 you know, and then if you get one that could be grade higher, it definitely sells for more. It's pretty apparent what's wrong with this card. We got the big fold here. Sometimes that's the deal breaker. You know, this stuff right here you can deal with, but when it shows on the front of the card too, even though the front of the card looks clean besides for that, it can be a deal breaker, but here it was not. $77 for that really does surprise me. An average non-era price is $2.50. That gives us 2,992%, which is good enough for number 6 this week, and we are not going in order, that's right. Next up, we have a Dark Persian promo card, and this is the no HP error, a really cool repeating error where the HP is missing here. You can see 60 HP should be there, it's not there. We got a good swirl by the ear here, and this sold for $640 in auction, a PSA 9 example. Now, if I'm being honest, I skip over these all the time because I feel like I only see PSA 8 sells. Because I only see PSA 8 sells. Because I only see PSA 8s sell, and it gets kind of boring. I can't tell you how many PSA 8s I see sell for $200 every week. I swear it's the same card. And so to see a 9 actually go for some good money is refreshing, and that's why I talked about it this week. Now, EVI, not crazy, 320%, but the value added around a hair short of $500 is pretty incredible for this grade 9 no HP. We can see error pricing. I checked when the last one was sold that they actually documented. It was 2023, but they have grade 9 going for around 800, so at one point the market was trended upwards, but we haven't, or price charting hasn't tracked it for a while, so kind of hard to go off that data, but interesting to see what it sold for in the past. And next up we have a Dark Charmeleon from Team Rocket set, and this is the top heavy miscut. Let's take a look. Listed for $150, sold for $100. It's got that big brain, that top heavy. Nice alignment dot the top left there, and we have alignment dot on the top right there. So consistent cut front and back. So it's a miscut, not a misalignment. Sold for $100, around $85 of value added to this card. That's a neat one, and just this artwork is incredible. I love it. This might be the dumbest question of all time, but when they have stages here, is it the exact artwork that the Pokemon card, so like this Charmander, that's the exact pose that he has? I think it is. No, it's not. I'd never really given that any thought before, but I don't believe it is. You'll see on the screen here, because I'm a good editor. Next up we have an OG. Base set Charizard, listed for $1,000. Why is that? Because it is a hollow bleed, and it's clean. Listed for $1,000, sold for $1,000. Now let's take a freaking look. Ooh. So hollow bleed is due to a low ink error, and it's where you can actually see the hollow on different parts of the card outside of the art box. It's sometimes a very subtle error, but if you see it in person, sometimes it can be incredible, and this looks like it's got a pretty good bleed on it. Micro shift there too in the hollow, but not a black dot error. Now you think this sold for $750 more than the average non-error price. Why is that? Well, it's a hollow bleed, which I think could add a couple $100 of value to it, but look how clean it is too. My limited knowledge says at least PSA 8, and if you get this at PSA 8, $650 for a non-error price. Grade 9, $1,500. So hard to say what it would grade for, but whoever's doing this is definitely looking at it as an investment too. So it's like an error card, but it also grades well. So I see why someone dropped a cool grand on this card. It's absolutely incredible. For some reason, Rookie Bob always sells hollow bleeds. I'm not sure how they acquire these, but I'm thankful they do. Next up, we have an Enz Zorua. Zorua? This is a promo card, and this is a Pokemon Center promo card. Boy, that was bad. I'm keeping it in, I think. I don't know. Next up, we have an Enz Zorua promo card. Pokemon Center. Sold for a lot. Why? Because of that crimp right there. And because it's a Pokemon Center card. I've realized that those sell for a lot more. Average non-error price, $55 just for this bad boy. But you slap an error on that bad boy, $340. Yeah, so that's pretty neat. You can see a pretty decent crimp showing on the front and the back there. I think these promo cards definitely are more susceptible to crimps just because there are so many more of them printed and they're in packaging by themselves. They're in the small plastic there, so Definitely occurs more, but definitely adds a lot of value to the cards as well. Next up, first edition Houndoom from Neo Revelation. And it's a double hollow variant. Basically where I think there was 2 layers of hollow actually added to the card, and it's fun because there's different ways to tell with each hollow from Neo Revelation. And with Houndoom, you can see because there's more hollow everywhere, but also there is the absence of a white border around Houndoom. So here you can see the white border and no real sparkly stars all around here. Right here, a lot more hollow. And it's noted that the first editions are a lot rarer and thus increase the price even more than they already go for. So a grade 9 for this bad boy right here, around $500. This sold for $3,500. Z&G Emporium has been consigning a lot of PSA 9 double hollow first editions from Neo Revelation recently, and it's just fun to talk about how much money is getting thrown around there. $3,000 of value added to this card, and an EVI of 607%, which is very high for a double hollow variant, let me tell you. Next up, we have a miscut card. We have a Spirit Mask Trainer card that got pretty messed up when it got cut. Now let's take a look. Sold for $57. First photo is the back of the card. Not the best, but that's alright. Look at that. So the whole sheet is twisted up and moved over a little bit to show, what would that be? 20% of another card that looks like right here. You see the obvious purple, the line, the 2 alignment dots here on the bottom. And then, yeah, even another card here too. That's pretty neat. An alignment dot on the top left too. That's why I love looking at error cards. You could look at them for a while and just keep seeing new things pop up. And obviously it's consistent on the back, so it's miscut, not misaligned. That same card right there. Couple alignment dots. And yeah, it's neat too. I think this kind of follows some of the rules with, it's a little bit off, but you see like the N here is where the N is missing here and everything. So it kind of works its way out a little bit, but when it's this messed up, it doesn't follow the rules completely. This usually sells for $1. And so with a sale price of $57, we have an EVI of 5,716%, which is actually good enough for number 2 this week. Yeah, it's again, it's cool to see these trainers get the love that they, I don't know if they deserve it, but they get it anyway. It's like rooting for the underdog. It's neat to see. eBay had an issue before where I couldn't really click into the photos. It wouldn't show it all the way zoomed in. And I think they've fixed that, and I'm really happy because this card is definitely needed to, and I definitely need that feature to look at the aspects of this card. So this is a shadowless first edition Machamp. And it says in the title here, Paint Splatter Error. Listed for $740.09. Is there any meaning behind that? Probably not. Best accepted offer price, $680. Now let's take a freaking look. Oh my god, eBay, I didn't even know. Okay, I'll just zoom in. That's okay, we're fine. So this says paint splatter error. Actually, we might need to, yeah, I think they show close-ups. Okay, so it's small, but here's one little red dot, more little red dots. Very, very subtle. Little green dot. Dot, 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 dot. It's like we're playing connected dots. I wonder what it would make. Dot, dot. Green. So it looks like green and red's kind of the colors that got splattered around here. Anything on the back? I think this is just showing condition of the card, not actual paint splatters. Okay, if you're ever selling on eBay and you're not sure if you should add more photos or less, as long as they're high quality photos, add as many as you can. Like, the more information you can give a buyer, the better. So, all of this added a lot of value to the card. $660 of value just about added to this card. And the average non-error price for a shadowless Machamp, first edition Machamp, $23. So that gives us a 2,766% error value increase. And that's actually good enough for number 7 this week. So very, very subtle. And again, eBay let me down because I should be able to click in. I'm gonna have to zoom in here. But lots of micro little paint splatters around. I'm not the authority to say if this is worth it or not. Clearly it's cool, but it's also a very subtle error. And I'm just impressed it sold for as much as it did. Next up, we have a Cyndaquil from Astral Radiance, and this is a cut and crimp error. So it's like the other crimp errors, but it's more severe, where the machine that crimps actually cuts too, so it can cut the extra plastic on the packaging. And so if it gets misaligned enough, it'll actually cut a card too. And that's how you end up with this. So the title says Square Corners Error 2, that's just a cut and crimp error. Was listed for $66.49 and sold for that. Now let's take a look. So just clean cut and crimp. You can see it's not, oh, is that like the smallest little bit of border? Just right there, interesting. But yeah, consistent on both sides, cool to see. And sold for a lot, I would say. Average non-error price is $1.32. So an EVI of 4,937% is good enough for number 5 this week. Next up, we have a Sylveon V from Brilliant Stars, and this is a wonky miscut, or a twisted miscut. Essentially where it's like shifted a little bit, so you can see it's not consistent. It's a little bit more of a card on the bottom here, a different card, and then actually no other card on the top. And is it consistent on the back? It sure is. I sure hope that's not in the case. Yeah, really neat error, and this CGC 9 sold for $269.99. I think with all of the turmoil going on in the world, it's just nice to see some class. You know, whoever purchased this had some class. EVI of 575% and $230 of value added. Next up, we have a non-hollow Snorlax from Jungle Set with the highlighter error. Got graded to CGC 8.5. Obviously, CGC will highlight this error. And it sold for $140. So let's take a look here. So here's what we're talking about. So an additional yellow ink error makes it look like a sun streak coming through. And since this is a repeating error, this is known to be on quite a few examples of this card. I'd say it's pretty rare, but you see it pop up from time to time. And yeah, a very neat one. One that I want. I've been very clear about that. CGC 8.5, that's a high grade for this. And yeah, I don't know. This is definitely one of the cooler errors, I would say. And again, one that I want. And added $100 of value. Here's another big dog sold from Z&G Emporium, or a big bird, I would say. First edition Ho-Oh Neo Revelation Double Hollow Variant PSA 9. You know how it is. PSA recognizes it. $3,000. Yes, lots of fire symbols here. I always like that. And Ho-Ho is easy to tell. We just got a bunch of hollow covering up all the feathers here on the outer portions. You can see it even kind of overlaps here, and it will impact the eyes a little bit too sometimes if you get the right dot kind of hanging over here. And boy, is that just like the biggest hollow dot you've ever seen? Boy, yeah, obviously an incredible card, high grade, recognized by PSA, and just a lot of money. $3,000, and this added $2,300 of value. Next up, we have a Flareon from Jungle Set, and this is the no symbol error. And I love PSA 10 examples of these because you don't know what they're going to sell for. I guess that's kind of with most things. You never know what could really happen, but yeah, let's talk about the card. Sold at auction for $1,126.25. Now, I'm curious, what did that bidding look like? Started at $750, and boy, most of those bids came right towards the end. How long was the auction? 7 days? Yeah, okay. Boop, 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 boop. So someone outbid this person a second before the auction ended. Interesting. Okay. Yeah, so these no symbols can go for a lot in PSA 10 examples. This one isn't the craziest I've ever seen, but $1,100 for a Pokemon card is pretty nutty. And you can see average non-error price is around $475. So quite a bit of value added. And we also have PSA 10 pricing for no symbols, which is around $740. And I checked, and this data is more up to date. So this one definitely trends upward for pricing, and yeah, just it's fun to see actual pricing for error cards here too. That's one thing that price charting does well, is the no symbol errors. But yeah, that's a neat one. Next up, we have a Dragonite EX from Furious Fists, and this is a pretty severe misaligned card here. Sold in auction for $524. Now let's take a look. So you have a good portion of another card here. What would that be? 7%? Yeah, definitely. Enough where you can't see the information on the bottom here. And I say misaligned because the back is normal. And also look at the condition of the card. So that just shows how rare of an error this is, especially on a chase card. like a $20 non-error card with an error like this, you get a big price. And so, yeah, despite all the whitening and the nicks and the bruises and everything, $524. That's pretty incredible. And average non-error price, as I said, $19. And so we have an EVI of 2,652%. And that's good enough for number 8 this week. Alright, next up we have a Flareon VMAX from Sword and Shield, and this is a promo card, and this is a miscut. It would be a slightly wonky miscut, and sold for $400. Listed for $400, sold for $400. I'm guessing this was sitting for a little while, because you don't have $400 buyers coming around every day. A couple alignment dots, one showing more than the other. You can see more of a card on the top. On the bottom, gets thinner. Is that a corner? Yeah, that comes to a corner, actually. Interesting. And the top right doesn't look too rounded either, actually. Is that alignment dot? I don't know. But yeah, let's take a look at the back of the card. Okay, I was saying that ain't 3 alignment dots. Yeah, 2 alignment dots here. Same orientation as the front. Got that kind of squarish corner. No, that's the squarish corner. That's like 90% squared. An incredible card, really is. The average non-error price for this bad boy is $46, and so EVI is not going to go crazy, but still added a lot of value to this card, and a really cool miscut. I know people enjoy looking at these miscuts. It's one of the cooler errors that can impact any card in the Pokemon world. So here we have another miscut Pokemon card, same seller as the Spirit Mask Pokemon card, and I guess a couple of things tell me that. One is they had the same, photo setup. I'd like to see it a little bit more, like, fill the frame here. I feel like you have a lot of wasted space here. It's obviously the same seller, it shows right there, but also they label it very generically, and they have the back of the card first. You probably want to put that second, but that's all right. You got $56 for this card that's usually worth $1. Now let's take a look. Same orientation as the other card, I'm pretty sure. Yes, it is. So one can assume that they pulled this from the same pack, or at least same box, same, same general area. And is that alignment dot at the top right? Another portion of a card, alignment dot in the bottom right there. And on the front, alignment dot, confirmed. And this is a full face card. I'm not sure if I said that or not. So another trainer card that sold for $50. You see, we don't really have robust pricing for this too much. We know that it's worth 99 cents raw, and that's all we need to know, I guess. So I'll take it. But yeah, with a sale price of $56, that gives us a 5,557% error value increase, which is good enough for number 3 this week. It just got edged out by that Spirit Mask. But yeah, this person may have made a profit from where they pulled these cards from, with what they spent on the packs and everything. Hard to say, but cool to be able to sell a couple of those cards. Alright, this next sale comes from Fanatics Collect, and it's a PSA 10 Nintendo error. A cool repeating error where the third N in Nintendo is actually missing. So it spells Nintendo. I like tracking the pricing of these. It can range from $800 to like $1,400 or $1,500. That's the highest I've seen until now, where it sold for $1,830. That is the confirmed highest price I've seen this sell for. Very interesting, and let's see if we can actually get a pretty decent look at this. Obviously a high quality image, because I believe they do their own scanning of the images. You didn't believe me? There it is, Nintendo. So yeah, obviously, these are just fun to track the pricing, and again, confirmed the highest price I've seen this sell for. And average error price, I think the last one that they actually calculated was from like 3 years ago, so price charting really isn't up to date there, but funny enough, you still see cards sell for around this amount. So just kind of depends how patient you are, or if you find the right buyer, or what platform you choose to sell the card on. Alright, next up, I would say this is the most newsworthy sale that was this week, and I'm pretty sure it's the thumbnail too. This is a base set Japanese Venusaur with the no rarity symbol error. The no symbol error, whatever you want to call it. In the bottom right, there is no star. You see here there's a star. This is thought to be the first edition of Japanese Pokemon cards. I believe there was 3 months of these printed, and then there was 4 years of the standard edition for Japanese base set cards that actually had the symbol. And this is an incredible sale. Now, this sold on Alt, Never heard of that before, but I'm keeping my eye on it now, just because seems like they sell some cool stuff here. So, yeah, PSA 10, perfect example card, $43,000. $43,000. Now, I think I put it in the thumbnail too. We'll see how that goes. But I spec'd out a 2025 4Runner. Not really spec'd out like everything you can add to it, but this is a basic trim model. It's a nice car, brand new car. You know, we're not having any commissions here for any salesmen added or anything, but that came out to just under the price of this Venusaur here. So take your pick. Which one would you want? One's a depreciating asset, and one could be thought maybe to be appreciating, but it's hard to say because average error price for a PSA 10, I think this is like population 9, is around $8,000. So this was definitely a hyped up sale by someone with insanely deep pockets. Hard to say if that's worth it or not, but I do believe this is the most expensive Venusaur card ever sold. Unless there was like a Top Sun no number error Venusaur that was maybe sold, but to my knowledge, this is the most expensive Venusaur ever sold. Even higher than the English first edition PSA 10 version. Maybe a Beckett 10? I don't know. Again, if I find something that kind of contradicts what I'm saying here, I have put it on the screen already, but yeah, an insane amount of money, $43,000. I still thought it was kind of interesting. Average non-error price is $799.66, and this ends in 966. Not that interesting. So average non-error price is $800 for a PSA 10. That gives us a 5,273% error value increase, which is good enough for number 4 this week. So obviously it's number 4. There's 3 higher, but this is definitely, I'd say, the most impressive sale this week, and just insane. And again, take your pick. Do you want this? I like this color too, or this. You decide. Not gonna be me because I'm not spending that kind of money. But all right, and the number 1 slot this week is a Squirtle from Team Rocket set with a square corner error. 2 square corners. Listed for $185, sold for $185. That's crazy. Let's take a look. So obviously regular Pokemon card has all 4 corners rounded. And how Pokemon cards are cut, they're cut 2 different times. One cuts them into a square cut, and then a second cutting machine comes and rounds the corners off. I'm not sure what happens to this where 2 corners get rounded and 2 are missed, but I'm glad it does happen because we get cards like this then. And look at that. A little alignment dot in the top right. Not even joking. That little dot there could have added $50 of value to this card. You don't always get a alignment dot with the square corner error like this. Yeah, look at that. Pretty clean too. Actually, you see what the back looks like. Not bad, honestly. Again, sometimes the card can be in pretty rough shape because there was an error in the cutting process. It can, you know, like it could be a dull blade or just whatever happens. It could be a not clean cut. So to see it in good shape like this is really fun. $185. Average non-error price is $1.75. That gives us a 10,471% error value increase, which is obviously good enough for number 1 this week. Alright guys, another week in the books. Thank you so much for watching. Last video was very well received and very motivating to me, so thank you all for the continued support. Leave a comment. Say whatever you want. Have a good week. Goodbye.